So I've spoken a little bit, maybe a lot, about narcissism. Again, I'm just using that as a label, as just a description, as a title, or something or other, maybe a description of somebody who's not in touch with their true self, their true essence, their something or other, their authentic. Whether they had that in the beginning or not is even the question. Like, I don't know these things. Are narcissists born or made? Are sociopaths or psychopaths born or made? I think it's a bit of both. I really do. I think it's a bit of both. There's always a bit of both and in the world that we're living in. It's just hard to say. I mean, obviously environments but again, different people have different, upbringings, and we don't all turn out the same way. So it's definitely depend. I mean, we know this, obviously, depending on the person and the level of sensitivity and whatever might have gone on, or whatever it is. But yeah, one of the things for sure is that the culture that we're living in breeds sociopaths, and narcissism. A sociopath, for me, defined in a sense, I'm just using that as a term, is that somebody which is a narcissist as well, they have they're underdeveloped emotionally, right? And so the thing is that they don't really they haven't got the experience of feeling the emotions, and they don't understand the language of emotions, let's just say it. And also they haven't met themselves. But the fact is that because they have no real emotional capacity, the primary emotion that they feel is shame, not guilt or not remorse. It's just shame, and so, primary emotion. There's other emotions as well, depending on what you want to consider emotions, like envy or jealousy or something or other, whatever it might be. So anyways, so they have no emotional development. They have no way of relating, right, to others. It's just like somebody who hasn't learned the language, if you don't speak the language of the people around you, you can't communicate with them and you can't understand them. Like, you just can't, right? So it's the same thing on an emotional level. Like, I've spoken about Leanne, and it's very hard to appreciate that somebody is just not capable of feeling another person's pain or suffering, even if they're causing it. They're just not even aware. It's crazy. Like with my brother as well, he's just never aware while bullying me, like what it was actually doing to me. All he was focused on was his own satisfaction and enjoyment when I was growing up, and he bullied me every day. That's the only thing. Like, he didn't actually. I think I've spoken about this before. When I was probably in my 30s. No, I left 30. When was I? Yeah, I was probably around about the age of 28. Now I remember it. And I was working in my dad's office, in his business, and my brother was. Oh man, I can tell you stories of what my brother did to me. Hey, shit, in my lowest of my lowest, like so bad. Just use that, hey. Just use that. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'll just tell you quickly. I mean, for what it's worth, like, in the beginning of my, awakening, whatever it is, type of whatever, I had like a lot of anxiety. I couldn't sleep at night. I was a wreck. I was just didn't know who I was, what I was doing. It was just overwhelming. It was a very, 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 very difficult time for me. Not that times haven't not been difficult, because I can say that 95% of my life has been difficult, and that's me playing the victim, to garner attention and people to feel sorry for me, because that's my fuel and that's what I live on. Yeah, anyways, and I said to him, look, I'm so directionless, I don't know what to do, so he said, well, maybe you should come work at the company, and so I tell you what, it was Sunday, and he said to me, come and, it was bad. He said, come and meet me at my house tomorrow morning, and he knows that, like, I'm not an early riser, and he says, come meet me at about 7 o'clock. I said, 7? He says, yeah, we'll get a start on the day. He says, and I'll take you, we'll go to the work together, we'll be bros. I'll go to the head office and I'll show you things and whatever it might be, and we'll spend time together and make you, it'll distract you, make you feel better, whatever it is. Anyway, so it's like, okay, fine. So obviously that night, like, I slept for maybe 2 hours, if that. I woke up, I got to his house. I remember it was winter, it was cold. I got to his house like at 7 o'clock, and I showered and whatever, was trying to put on a strong face. I mean, I was really I was in such a broken way. I mean, I was so vulnerable, I was so sensitive, I was so raw, it was so bad. And what I was doing was that I was a sheep amongst the wolves. Not knowing, I mean, kind of knowing in a way, but not like thinking, no, he can really feel my pain, he can really feel my agony. I mean, I told him whatever it is, like, he can level with me. Anyways, I get there like at 7 o'clock, or it was 7:30 or something like that. Anyways, he arrives an hour later. Now, an hour later, while I'm busy pacing around the garden, because I can't sit down, I can't sit still. I'm in his garden, I'm pacing up and down, walking up and down. I just, my heart is beating. I'm like, oh, it was terrible. Oh, it was horrendous. Anyway, he finally arrives after an hour. And he's like, hey, sorry I'm late. I was just busy, praying at the synagogue, whatever. It was like very nonchalant, whatever it is. And I'm telling you now, and my brother's done this to me before, he deliberately made me wait. He deliberately told me to come earlier than I should have. He deliberately did, and he deliberately came late, because that's his nature. If I have to ask the guy who's worked with him in the warehouse, this kind of nice guy, he's worked in the warehouse under my brother now at the head office for probably 8 years. He would say, yep, that's exactly your brother. He says, he deliberately came late. He knew your state that you were in. He knew that you were waiting for him, and he didn't care. Like, that's how he operated, So he will agree with me. Mother will agree with me. My father will be like, no, he didn't mean that. It was just, he's just peculiar, Oh, my brother has done to me, And my father being, no, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. You don't understand him, Shocking. Can you imagine? Just nowhere to turn. And I never had any relationship with my mother back then. I had no relationship with anybody. Anyways, so what happens is that, shucks, I forgot to put this off, the data off here. I don't want calls to come through. Not that I get calls, but something or other. Anyways, so he says, come. He says, we're going to go to one of the stores. So, one of the stores? No, let me show you one of the stores. Because my father has retail stores. And he's got a factory store, my brother, at the time. It was his own factory store as well. So, or something like that. It wasn't. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyways, we go to the factory. So I said, okay. I said, are you sure? Can't we just go to the office? You can show me like where I could sit, or you can show me what I could make. No. You and me, bros. Let's do this together. I said, are you sure? I just don't want to be missioning around. It's cold. It's like, no. Anyway, we go to the one shop, the retail store. He goes inside, and I'm just standing there for like about 45 minutes outside while he's busy talking and he's walking around. And I can tell you now, he's doing this deliberately. He is doing this. He's loving this. He is. I'm telling you, if I had to talk to the warehouse guy, and not only the warehouse guy, if I had to talk to 90% of the staff that work with my brother, and there's been so many that's left. My brother, this guy, his name's Sebastian. I'll just tell you, his name's Sebastian. This is a nice guy. Sebastian's been there for probably more than 10 years. And what my brother will do is promote a well-known thief, like who's, people know he's got a reputation of doing dodgy things in the business. He's not a straight. And my brother made him like the warehouse manager, like just to spite Sebastian. Then like 2 years later, this guy was caught, or a year later, this other guy, was caught red-handed, and they fired him. But he was the laziest of guys. And Sebastian's a hard worker, and people say like you're exaggerating, like your brother wouldn't do that in the business. No, they don't care. They don't care what effects or consequences they have, as long as they get their way, as long as they get their fix. That's it. They don't care. You're telling me like a serial killer or something like that. that it's a mother, a single mother with 3 children, and she's pregnant. He's like, no, I care about that. Like, no, maybe I'll find somebody else to, I mean, it's pathetic. That's how dark it is. That's how sick it is. It's so sick that the conscious individual, the healthy individual, cannot comprehend the illness. And that's a big problem. That's a very big problem. And the healthy person who's just like, who sort of just says, well, it's all just one, and we all just here to have an experience, and they playing their part, because without them we wouldn't have this and whatever it is, and they sort of water it down in a spiritual way, or something, or find the mystical way about it, and well, they're necessary evil, and therefore it's okay, and we just can, that's just what we are part of. It's all wonderful, guys. It's all just wonderful. These people, it's like, as long as you are in your own high vibration, they can't affect you. Type of thing. Or something. Okay, I mean, I'm being nonsense, obviously, because people are growing out of that to a degree. But again, people think that, well, this is something else, but it's not really relevant. How we put our virtues onto others. I used to do that. I projected my own virtues onto others and thought, well, no, people are as honest as I am. People are as sincere as I'm. Well, they're trying, like with Leanne. No, she's really trying. She's got a good heart. She's just had a hard childhood. No, she means well. No, she doesn't mean well. You know how long it took me to realize that she doesn't mean well? Anyways, so then after waiting 45 minutes outside the shop, comes up to me. He says, come, we're going to Pretoria. I'm like, what? Now Pretoria is like about a half an hour drive. I want to go see another store there. I said, but then why am I coming along? He said, no, we're going for bro time. I said, I'm really not well. I'm serious, bro. I'm like really not well. I can't handle this. I've waited now almost like 2 hours for you. Whatever it is you came. No, but you don't understand. And okay, it hasn't been a great start today, but we're going to go to Pretoria now. We're going to go to like 3 shops. It'll take you out. I said, but how's this got to do with me actually working for the company? Well, you're getting to know the lay of the land. You're getting to know the shops. I said, I can't even concentrate on that. No. He didn't want to hear anything. I said to him, when will we be back? He says to me, at about 6 o'clock. Like at night. He had a whole day planned, this brother of mine. He had a whole day planned of taking me all, and he knows that I can't stand it. He knows. Okay. This was not long ago. Maybe it was last year. I'm visiting my mother in Johannesburg, and I see, my brother's there, the same guy, and he says to me, he says, come walk me home. Brother. Oh. Come walk me home, bro time, type of thing. So he doesn't live far, on the Sabbath you don't drive a car. So I'm like, I drive in, whatever. And I'm, and we're walking past the synagogue, which is the shul, which is the temple where the people pray, obviously, but I'm saying it's the community. And my brother knows that I don't want to bump into anybody. Like, I don't, because I grew up there. I know the people to a degree, and my best of friends were there, whatever this guy say. I don't want to see them. I got no energy. I got no time. I got no care. Like, I keep away. They're all like, "Hey, man, what's been happening?" And that's just not for me. Anyway, so we're walking up. He says, "I want to show you something." Like, says excitingly. I said, "What? All right." He says, "Come with me." So he starts walking into the grounds. Like there's the gate that you come in. There's security they check and whatever it is. And we walk in, and I said, come. I said, no, but hold on, whoa, where are we going? Just come. Anyways, so we go into the heart of the grounds. There's people everywhere. And he says, isn't this amazing? I said, as we walked in, there was a guy named Clive, and I know Clive, and he's like, hey, man. And my brother is crazy. He's saying to my brother, like, hey, bro. And my brother, whatever, Clive. That's my brother. He doesn't, he picks his nose. He doesn't even, he's crazy in public. He's so unaware. Of course, because if he wants to pick his nose, he picks his nose. Like, to hell with him, doesn't even realize. He's unconscious. Anyway, so then we're standing, he says, look around. He says, look what a different generation it is. And look, I said, what are we doing here? No, just, I said, come, I'm going. No. His whole thing was to pull me into the heart of the thing and hope that I'm going to run into all the people that I don't want to run into. Ding, 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 ding. These are just some of the stories. These are just a few. This is like, minimal, a small amount in comparison to the size of. Do you understand what we're dealing with? This is my older brother. Think how the contrast, how actually what a healthy older brother would be like. So that's how my life has been shaped. And my life has been shaped by narcissism. I could get into my other brothers as well, but we don't have the time. But the thing is that the trend is still the same. To a degree, in different ways. The one brother that I'm talking about now, he's the worst. He's absolutely the worst. But in different ways. Anyways. So, I just tell you that, hands down, the only thing that's going to win in this world is the narcissist, right? Is the sociopath. Is the person that doesn't have the ability to feel for others. Of course they're going to win. Of course they are going to win. And there is something in this world, in this life, to a degree that supports it. I don't know, like supports is kind of evil, It really raises you up. There's no question about it. Anyway, that's just something else in another point. But there's something that I'm wanting to mention. I haven't found the words for it, or for myself, the depth of perception with it. But there is something that I want to mention, because it's kind of like I'm painting the picture that this is an awful experience in life, which it is, and where the good guys lose and the bad guys win. Well, yes they do. But what I'm saying at the same time, and I'll have to do another talk on this when I'm more ready for it, right, is that let me just clear my throat. Is that it's a story. It's all contained within a story. So if you have the movie, I don't know, you have the movie, like Freddy Krueger or whatever, and I don't know, one of these horror movies, like a Saw or something like that, and it's really grotesque, right? And it's really, or the movie Seven, with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, I think it is, and just with Kevin Spacey, just like really whatever it is, you got that. That's a story, right? That's taken place, but it doesn't. It's not. It's, let's say, it's somewhere on a screen somewhere, but it's just one story, and it's a very small story. Okay, and let's say this planet, this Earth, and this whatever it is, existence, is just a story. And we could be a story that's happening on a shelf, like a books, let's just say metaphorically, and there's probably hundreds of books or thousands of books put on a shelf. And each shelf, I'm talking about this world, right, from the beginning of the time, or it doesn't have to be the beginning of the time, it doesn't work that way so much of time, but it's like, let's say for the last 2,000 years, right? Not biblically, but I'm not saying biblically. This is the story, right? So you've got your setup, you've got your animals, you've got your primates, you've got your species, you've got your amphibians or whatever it is. I don't know. You've got your cells, your blood, your red cells. You've got the whole biology and everything else, right? You've got all of these things. That's just a template, right? That's the kind of blueprint in that way. And then there's consciousness and whatever. It's a whole story. Okay, but that's fine, But it's just a story. It's just on one. Even it could be a DVD, Doesn't matter, but next to one, next to others, there's many different stories going on. There could be a planet where there is self-sustaining people, there is community, there is care for the planet, there is like Avatar. The movie Avatar. I only watched the first one. Like Avatar, and there could be different creatures. There could be different kind of beings. 6'5" or whatever it is, your average height, whatever it might be, live for 250, whatever it might be, different stories. It could be. It doesn't have to be. But either way, what I'm saying is that even if there aren't, that this story is only when we are in this incarnation, in this body. Think about when we dream at night. We're dislodged from the story completely and entirely and utterly, And there's another story, right? That we are immersed in. There's another reality that we are immersed in, right? So this reality is just, I'm trying to think of an analogy, but I think you get what I'm saying. Let's take maybe the Truman Show. Let's come back to the Truman Show. The Truman Show is a story, but the story in the Truman Show depicted the same story that was happening in the rest of the world. It was the same thing. It was a copy, it was a microcosm of the macrocosm. But what I'm saying is that no matter how corrupted in the Truman Show it became, no matter how dark it became, how Mad Max it became, no matter how narcissistic, no matter how polluted it got, whatever it is that only happened within the Truman Show. That didn't necessarily happen, it's just a work, but in the bigger world. It's contained and it's limited to, right, a very, very small reality or dimension. It's very, very small. So when we leave here and in hindsight we look back and you'd be like, the good guys lost, the bad guys won. Be like, yeah, but that's the story. That's well, what's the problem there? Like Romeo and Juliet, they both die in the end. That's the story. That's the narrative. That's what happened. That's because it serves a purpose of I don't know, heartbreak. On many things. It affords for different experiences. You can't always just have avatar lifestyle or whatever to a degree. You can, maybe, whatever, but I'm just saying that this world's not like. So when we pass on from this world and in hindsight we look back and you'd be like, that was bad, but I can see now I'm in a place where there isn't this stuff going on. It was just like happening in Plato's cave. Like all of that was just happening in a cave somewhere. Like planet Earth, or the dimension of it was just in a cave. Like I'm saying, think about like there's caves out there in the world right now. But it's not the rest of the world. It was only in one cave. And that's the story of the cave. That the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That there's a sense of irony in life. That again, it's rain on your wedding day. It's 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. The song Ironic by Alanis Morissette. It's like meeting the man of your dreams and then meeting his beautiful wife. There's a deep sense of irony in this life that can drive you mad, like literally drive you mad. The irony. And we feel the irony and we impacted by the irony, and for me especially. But when the story's finished and I'm floating away or whatever it is, I don't know, I'm looking back, be like, yeah, you needed the irony to have that experience. That's why sometimes, now this is a leap of what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying sometimes people say, well, how can there be so much evil in the world? Like, obviously it's mistaken. Like, how can it be so bad? And it's true. How can it be like so easy to destroy something, but so difficult to build it, to build something? Why is it that the most delicious foods are like the unhealthiest? In a sense, but we make unhealthy food. But there's just so much like, for example, love making or orgasm, whatever it is, it's over like that, time flies when you're having fun, right? Again, that question of if you could have the greatest pleasure for 1 hour, right? The greatest pleasure ever for 1 hour, okay? But then somebody's allowed to torture you for 10 minutes or 5 minutes in the worst kind of torture possible. For just 5 minutes, would you take it? Would you take the 1 hour of pleasure? No, you can't. You wouldn't do it, because the trauma and the pain would be so severe that it would never meet up to the pleasure. The pain is, so that's it. That's it. There's so much. In life you only learn in hindsight. You don't appreciate what you have until it's gone. There's just so many. The odds are completely against us. So people will say, well, why? Then it must be wrong. It can't be part of a plan. But for me, sometimes I say, yeah, but it's just to absolutely convince you how like there is no God, or there is no heaven. There is no spiritual realm. There's, to a degree, this is just all that it is. It's like a demiurge controls the whole universe, right? And it's all just bad, type of thing. Just that idea, and animals eat one another to survive, everything eats one another to survive, and something or other, and so this is what happens, and it's the be all and end all, you know what I'm saying? And when you die, you're gone. That's it. There's no afterlife or something like that. It's all just, or you tricked by the archons or something to come back here, and you just reincarnate, and it's just like a prison, all of this stuff. And you're able to sort of create this narrative about this because there's so much evidence, not evidence, but there's so much material to put that together. It would be easier to be a good person if the world was good. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, this is a whole nother discussion, But that's my point that I want to make, because sometimes it feels like I'm coming across as if I'm just doom and gloom, and believe me, I am, and I love it. Because the more doom and gloom I am, the closer I am to the truth. Because that's the way that it works. That's the irony again. The truth, you can't handle the truth. That's it. The truth is designed in a way to make so uncomfortable and make one's reality so unpleasant to a degree, because it's dark. The truth is dark. The truth is dark. What's the separation from the self is dark. Narcissism is dark. So we've got to look into it. We've got to see it. We've got to integrate it as well, and we've got to learn to be courageous and fearless. And all of those things. So this I'll get to this to another point, but that's kind of what I'm saying is that to be good in this world, to be conscious in this world is massive. It's like you're part of maybe like 1% or 2% of the world. Now you might think of people on YouTube that and conscious people and whatever it is, but let me tell you, and conscious people in the past, psychologists, Carl Jung and that kind of thing. But you surround yourself more on YouTube and with podcasts, whatever it is, with more conscious people. But just think about how many billions of people there are. It's crazy. And going to China, and even going to Tibet, going to sort of India and the spiritual places, and oh my word. Anyways, like I'm saying, the real deal. Anyway. It's very, very small. So maybe it's even less than 1% of the planet that are like me and you. Let's just say, I'm assuming you like me. If you're listening and been following me, I assume, I don't know. But I consider myself one of these people. I know because I feel it, because I carry it. Right? Doesn't make me better than anyone else. It just means, I'm on my own mission here. Doesn't make it any easier for me. I live a dreadful life. Dreadful life. I really do. Aaron, but you have a roof over your head. Come on. Enough with that nonsense. I hear that in AA all the time, in the meetings that I go to, the AA meetings all the time. This guy, he's narrowed it down. He's sitting there in so much discomfort, in so much pain. This guy, this one guy, and I know me, whatever, talks too much. And he says, but you know what? He says, I woke up this morning. Because I woke up this morning, he says, I should be grateful that I'm waking up for another day. And then somebody else agrees with him. He says, yeah, you're right, bro. You're right, dude. And you know how many people don't wake up in the morning? It's like, There are more people who wake up in the morning that they don't, like, you guys are so stupid. You're trying to look and say, well, you know what? I was able to pee just now, like with no problems. And you know how many people stand there and they have problems with their prostate and they can't pee? So you know what? My life is fantastic. Everything is okay, and I'm so blessed, and I don't have to feel any uncomfortable emotions or any painful things or any integrate any of my shadow or whatever it is that's which disconnects me from my true self, and that's why I feel kind of empty. But it's okay because I made pee-pee with no problems. Yeah. And you know how many people can't pee-pee properly? You know, that's like ridiculous. I understand gratitude, it's crazy. But you're just whitewashing it. You're bypassing all the things that you shouldn't be grateful for. And it's the part that you shouldn't be grateful for is telling you what's wrong in your life. What's hurting? What's the pain, brother? What's the pain? Oh, no, we can't get into the pain. Must be grateful that I have, 2 legs. Some people don't have 2 legs. I'm mostly grateful I don't have 3 legs. Can you imagine if I had 3? It's like pathetic. It is the most juvenile way of just sort of handling and dealing with life. Anyways, I'm going to start ending off. But what I wanted to say is that a narcissist is the turd in the punch bowl. So there, last night, right, go to the meeting. There's maybe 25 people, let's just say. 20 people, whatever it is. And it's like a nice meeting, you know. It's like, in the sense we're all sitting around, and you can just feel that it's got potential. It's got something there. But of course, you know, so for those who don't know, it was an NA meeting, which is Narcotics Anonymous. So we're sitting, you know, around there. There's 20 of us, all different shapes and sizes and ages, whatever it is, to a degree. But I can tell you now, in that group of just say on average, it's probably the same faces that come through then and again. Maybe there's 20 people, but there's 5 guys, right, and 1 woman. 4 guys, 4 men, and 1 woman. And I can tell you hands down that when they are there, the whole hour is dominated by them. So firstly you do these the introductions, whatever. Let's just say you have about 40 minutes. Let's say 40 minutes of round robin, of going around. You know, that you read the book just for today. So there's a paragraph there that speaks about, you know, it's like sort of motivational. It's today I will do this and whatever it is, and and then you hand it over to the floor. And now the thing is that so somebody introduces it, the chairman or the chairperson, and then somebody says, Stephen, alcohol, Stephen, edit. Like they jump in first before anybody else can. I got to hear my voice. And Stephen, okay, it's not his real name. Remember, before I got crapped on because I mentioned a fake name from an AA meeting, and people said you don't share outside the rooms, which is the most pathetic, crazy thing ever. You know, I mean, I understand it, but I'm talking about, you know, it's like a psychologist who says, you know, I once had a patient many years ago. You can't talk about that patient. That's client privilege information. So nobody can learn, you know, what happened. They can't even talk about it. You don't even know the person, but you can't talk about it. You know, client privilege. That's ridiculous. Anyways, so Stephen will talk for 15 minutes. Now there's a room full of people. There could be new people that have arrived. Doesn't matter, because for a narcissist, they do not give a darn. All they want to do is hear the sound of their own voice and dominate. So for 15 minutes, the guy will talk, and he will be repetitive. And I'm not just saying that he talks once every few weeks. He talks every single meeting. It's the same guys that start off, and then there's this one guy, let's call his name is Rodney. And Rodney, he's a 40-year-old guy, says the same thing. Rodney is the most blandest. He, you know, talks so monotone, and I'm telling you, he does that to irritate people. That's a subconscious thing, but I'm telling you, like, you know, he does it. I don't know if you ever saw the movie What We Do in the Shadows. There's an energy vampire, and he's actually the guy from The Office. He works with Dwight or whatever it is. You know, he's not a main character. And when he talks to people, he talks very slowly, very monotone. and he talks like this, and there's zero expression, like there's zero emotion, there's zero, and he just talks like this and whatever it is, and you like, I didn't think I was going to come to a meeting today, but then I decided that I'd do it. I'm so grateful for everybody to be here, and this really resonates with me, this reading, and thank you for all your shit. It's the same thing, and he goes on and on and on and on in all different directions. Then 15 minutes later, he says, yeah, thanks, he's got his fix, he's got the attention, and you just see people. Like, for me, when I used to talk, I used to be paying attention to people, and I saw if they were dozing off, if I was taking a lot, and I always felt bad when I used to speak for too long. And I'd speak for like 3 minutes and check my watch and be like, okay, good, 3 minutes, And I used to bring valuable things, until somebody came up to me and said to me, you're not talking about things that are in the program. So yeah, I'm talking about pain, but hey, we won't talk about pain. We won't talk about suffering. Yeah. Anyway, so then it comes on to this lady. Let's call her name Simone. Oh, Simone. Simone is just like when everybody else is talking, she's on her phone. She can be on her phone the whole meeting. Because Simone, and just like these other pricks, have no awareness that there's anybody else in the room but themselves. So that's Simone. And Simone will talk and be like, this morning I had bacon and eggs with my daughter, and her boyfriend came over. And I'm so excited because before, when I was using and I couldn't do these things, but now I can go to the market. I can go to the supermarket. I can walk in. I don't get the beer on next door by the liquor store. I go and I buy my bananas, and I can buy my and I'm telling you, hands down, this woman starts derailing into her own personal life, what food she likes, what she had for breakfast, how she went to gym and she bumped into an old friend. She pulls it all in. There's no awareness of other people that have just joined, other people that are going through crises. It's the same thing that happened with my brother. When I was sitting there at his house and the way that he treated me, it's the same thing. The narcissist is the turd in the punch bowl. Nobody else exists but them. They cannot feel anybody else. You can go crazy. I remember I forgot the story when my mother once, when I was working finally at my father's company with my brother used to embarrass me. Like, he used to shout out across the parking lot, or be like, oh, you're going to go see your black girlfriend, or something like that, She wasn't black, she was multiracial. Even if she was black, I did date a black. But I'm saying it was like, because he's got no awareness, but he wants to embarrass me. Not that it's an embarrassing thing now, but you know what? My father's the CEO. He's a Jewish guy, But he would try and again, embarrass me. And there were many things. He would keep stock from me. The things that he did. I had factory stores where I was selling the old stock from the company, and he would block the stock. And my staff, it didn't get stock in time. I couldn't pay my staff. I couldn't pay my rent. He was like, no, we have to inspect the stuff before we send it to you, and just do sort of another recount, like for the 5th time, just to make sure the stocks are all balanced. He deliberately delayed things, and then I lost it, and I went to my mother. It was a long time ago, and I said, Ma, I'm going to his house with a baseball bat. I'm going to drive my car through his gate, and I'm going to thrash him. And I was like so angry. I said, I was so. I had reached my limit with him. It was a long time ago. I must have been maybe 26, 27 or something like that. I can't remember. And I said, and I don't care if his children will see, but I will beat him to a pulp. And my mother said, no, let me just phone him. So she phones him and she says, listen, Aaron is here, and he's, what's he like? What's he going on about? He says, no, you really, you've gone too far, man. You did this, and he said, come on. And I picked up the phone and I said to him, I'm coming to see you, and you're not going to, I'm going to put you in hospital, basically. I was to the degree that I just didn't care what I was doing anymore. Like if I ran through his gate, if I didn't care. Like he had driven me to insanity. And even in that emotion, he was laughing. He said, "Oh, come on, I'm your bro. What's going on?" And my mother would be like, "Listen," I'm not mentioning his name. I don't know why I used to mention his name. Probably know his name. My mother would be like, "Listen, he's really, really upset. You got to just lay off. You got to just sort of stop this, It's like, "But what are you talking?" Of course, he sort of had no idea. They got no idea. They will destroy. They will devour, and they'll feel nothing. They feel nothing. We look at a serial killer and say, "Well, that guy's evil because he ended people's lives." Let me tell you, these people, these narcissists, they've ended people's lives a long time ago, or they do not allow consciousness into a room. They do not allow love to prosper, to permeate. They don't. They block everything. They destroy everything. They annihilate everything that's beautiful. They destroy. That's what they do. And they do it because they are the kings and they're the most important person in the room. And it's just their energy. That's why I'm saying they're a turd in the punch bowl. You get that expression? Like you got a lovely big punch bowl of nice whatever it is, but you got a little piece of, something floating around in there. You're like, "Hell no, I'm not having that." That's what a narcissist is. If they're at weddings, wherever they are, at funerals, it doesn't matter, wherever they are, they take. They destroy the atmosphere and environment. They put high-rise buildings in small little, coastal towns that are quiet or whatever it is, and they make their high buildings and shopping centers, and they ruin everything. They destroy everything beautiful. They destroy everything that's natural. They destroy everything that's authentic. And that's you and me, and that's what they're out to do. And that's what they wake up to do in the morning. That's their purpose. That's their mission. That's their goal. So that's the unconscious. That's the master that they serve, is the unconscious, which is the dark side. It's just the shadow, which is something or other, the ego, whatever it is, which I think, again, is connected to some kind of demiurge or some kind of AI, ancient AI or something or other that it's feeding into. It's minions. They are like the little soldiers, their little flying monkeys. Excuse the pun. With narcissism. But that's what they are. Nature doesn't waste. So they serve a purpose still within the nature of things. Within the nature of evil. That's what they're doing. And they rule the world. They do. This reality. Well, yeah, they do. They absolutely do. And they're everywhere. And again, it's like a contagion. It just gets copied over, and it's the next person, it's the next person. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep on saying it again. That people are getting more and more out of hand, more and more immoral, more and more selfish, more and more, just you name it. Like in regards to predatory, vampiristic, victim, whatever it is, all of these things. So, yeah, happy days, everybody. Fun times, But I'll end off on this. Was it Goethe? Don't know who says, although I don't necessarily believe it because I'm just holding in the moment. Be brave and mighty forces will come to your aid. So I'm so skeptical at the moment. I'm thinking like nothing's coming to my aid, baby. The ship is going down. The ship is going down. And I'll be like, see you on the other side. I mean, there's no one, there's nothing. I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel that. It's been too much, to feel that things like something or other can better itself. Petrol, gas is going up tomorrow. Electricity is going up tomorrow. The rates are going up tomorrow. They're squeezing the life out of us. The system is squeezing the life out of us. So I'm saying that is on the system side, but on my own personal side, brother, I just don't know. Remember I used to do those videos, Everybody Knows, by Leonard Cohen. Everybody knows that the dice is loaded. Everybody rolls with their fingers crossed. Everybody's got that sinking feeling, like their mother or their dog just died. Everybody's talking to everyone. the captain lied, or something like that. Brilliant. Everybody knows. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Everybody knows. Yeah, it's a powerful song, that, eh? Yeah. I'll just end up on this. I don't think I mentioned this before, but I saw this comedian, the stand-up comedian, and he was talking about, he said that, that song, Baby, It's Cold Outside? It's from the 1940s or something like that. It's a Christmas carol, a Christmas song. It's like, baby, it's cold outside, and she's like, I can't get the song, the thing now, but it's like, yeah. So it's just a very nice song where he's asking the lady to please stay because it's cold outside. We have the fireplace in here, and she's saying, but I got to go, type of thing. And he's being whatever. Anyway, it was cancelled. That song was cancelled, because it was like masculinity, toxic masculinity or something like that. But this is the comedian he's talking about. Do you know what the number one song was? I think it's in 2021. What it was called, and had got awards of all kind, was Nicki Minaj's WAP. Anyways, I thought to myself, they're actually, like, what is this song? And the guy read the lyrics. He read some of the lyrics of the song WAP. Do you know what WAP stands for? I couldn't believe it. I've never heard that song. It's apparently 2021. I had a look to see, like, maybe it just came out now because the world is so devolved. No, it came out like 5 years ago. Probably even worse now. I couldn't believe what I read the lyrics. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. So that's what I'm talking about. Maybe if I can find that video, if I remember, let me write that down and start off that with, let's just say over here. Okay, I'm just writing it down. Maybe I'll put the short video at the beginning of this one just to give an example of what I'm talking about. Like, we know already. But I mean, this is like was like the number one song, and who Nicki Minaj is famous for. I'm saying the lyrics, if I had to sit the whole day in myself and try to come up with the lyrics that they did, or not even the day, but I'm saying like a month, to try and think of the most perverted lyrics that I possibly could, I don't think I could do that, because my mind and my being cannot go there. Do you understand? Like, I wouldn't be able to write on this level of depravity, because it's not because it's wrong or whatever. I'm just saying I don't think I would know how to. I just don't know how I would know how to, because I'm not plugged into that. But when you're plugged into that, right? When you're plugged into that, then it just flows through you. You know what I'm saying? These guys probably sit and be like, they probably wrote a song. They probably wrote like, I don't know, 10,000 words or 5,000 words, and then they took the worst one. Like, they had plenty of material. They could just carry on going with the most perverted things. But it's not only that, but it's a woman who's singing the song as well. So it's crazy, because like, people talk about, adult film stars, and they'll be like, but don't you know that it's going to be on the internet for the rest of your life? Like a little digital imprint, and your children will be able to see it or whatever it is. To be like, yeah, no, sure, of course it affects him, but like, there's Nicki Minaj singing about this, and like, don't you realize it's going to be a digital imprint? And like, I'm just saying, not, it'll be more famous than any film star, adult film star. Like, are you aware of this, guys? But obviously they don't care. But I'm saying, in our culture and society, they won't look and say, Cardi B, aren't you aware of like what this is going to do or say? No, they applaud her. Like when Will Smith, smacked Chris Rock, whether that thing was actually real, I doubt it, and everybody like still got up and gave him a standing ovation. That's what we support. I mean, this anyway. I just thought I'd end off on that, and so on and so forth. All right, thank you for being there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time. May mighty forces come to our aid. Take care.